What a will, DJ on the mic. What coming in with the sweet levers? Cause you know what time it is. It's our boy coming in to EX10 right here. And it's gonna be BLs. It's gonna be a BLs list for you guys because I ain't gonna lie. I was looking at the new support. I'm like, it's kind of feeling alright. You know, I might be sniffing on that copium, but I'm like, you know what? It looks fun, and that's good enough for me. It looks fun, looks intriguing. So I want to kind of give you a bit of a first draft build of how I'm thinking of taking BLs in EX10. So if this is a video for you, make sure you sit down, grab a drink, smash it like a standard, all that jazz. Hype it up. Gotta hype that shit up. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because I do videos on the reg for real. So I think it's time to play my shit.
Digital gate open.
Okay, let's get into the nitty gritty right here. BL's EX10 is going to be coming out relatively soon. So this is kind of a first take Drake build, as you can see. And like any build that I do on this channel, I always go through the stages. So this is the first draft, let's just call it. But I'm very excited with these ratios and essentially got a good list in order for me to definitely capitalize out on the new tools that we have, whilst making some kind of tough decisions of the ratio choices and so forth, which obviously I'll dive into. So let's start off with the egg. The egg is literally still remaining the same right here. It's obviously going to be a Baalmon. This is just still the best egg, just because when we're attacking, we're going to be essentially milling top 2 cards of our deck, which is great when we are swinging basically any Digimon up our line. So that's still pretty much a mainstay on that one. Then we go over to the actual imp. So the imps right here, like, the deck space is hella tight, I'm not gonna lie. But our actual options that we have from champion upwards has definitely made us kind of think about, like, what potential inevitables do we want in order for us to be in control or punish the opponent for actually swinging into us, especially because now that we can give ourselves blocker a lot more efficiently. So we still rock in with the 3 Impmon X antibodies, just because that nice little bit of recursion, get some pieces that you need for essentially sacking off an option card is always going to be good. Once again, we still actually want the when attacking in order for us to effectively, get our mill totals up to a decent amount that we can actually get the best benefit from our effects off of our BLs. So that's why this mon is still definitely a 3 of. Then we go into the BT19 Impmon. The reason why I do like this one is because it's going to help us essentially get some tamer plays out if we happen to mill them. The thing about BLs, when you live by the rush strat of getting stuff in trash, you're going to be trashing majority of your cards. So most likely your tamers are going to go into the trash, and this is a facilitator in order for us to get those cards, or at least get those tamers out from trash when this is played. And the best scenario for playing this card would be from our EX2 BLs if it's been trashed from our deck. Also, the retaliation inevitable is really good because, like I say, we have ways to actually get blocker more efficiently. So that's the reason why this boy is here at 2. We basically use him as a good utility card, and obviously when we go further down the list, I'll explain why. Then we go over to the new Impmon. We are running this at 3 currently, more just due to deck space, but 3 is definitely a solid count for this because it is, once again, a utility, whilst that inevitable is really gorgeous. So when this card will be trashed from your deck, you may delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon, which is absolutely crack. We have ways to basically stack this on top of our deck in order to kind of use this to clear the opponent's field, which is really good. Obviously, we're going into that meta where whiteboards is pretty much prevalent, so popping a level 4 lower Digimon is going to be great for us. Then it also has a cool start of main that we're able to just trash top 2 cards of our deck, which is, once again, really good to facilitate us reaching our trash totals in order to maximize on our effects that we have. Then your turn. For every 10 cards in your trash, this Digimon gains 1000 DP. This is very strong. So if we're at 30 in trash, we do get 3000 DP, and we have two Digimon, including this one, that actually has this similar inevitable, and the other one is actually all turns, which is really, really strong right there. So Obviously, early game, your standard 1k boost, but come to mid to late, you're going to be sitting, you know, additional 2 or additional 3k, which is really good because obviously we do run this one, which obviously has the 3k native at the bottom there as long as we're at BLs. Obviously, this being restricted to 1, when we swing in security, man, we are going to be breaking our gun, man. That double barrel sawn off, boom, that ain't doing shit. We're getting clapped for real, for real. But obviously we still run this because now we can leverage this card super easy with the new BL's Ace. It is crazy how fast we're going to be milling, guys. It is going to be crazy how fast we're going to be milling. If we can get this in our hand or trash, obviously we have ways to stack our deck with Iron Mako. We have ways to obviously get this into trash and basically reload. It's going to be crazy times because this just is an amazing facilitator for us to essentially trash more. Its on play is a freaking liability. Honestly, I hate its on play just because, you know, being able to add a BLs and 1 Iron Mako is great, but we literally bot deck the rest of our line, and sometimes that is very punishable right there. So really, you want to be using this card as a utility function more than its actual on play. Then we still run the starter deck Impmon. We're running this at 3. Obviously, the reason why I've actually increased the count on this, because this actually originally had at 2, is because this is the actual only Impmon that is a free play cost. So, you know, I don't want to be passing my opponent with 4 memory. If I get this and I've got other Impmons there, I need a way to kind of pass turn efficiently. Granted, you know, throwing down an Impmon that's not going to do anything is not the best way, but I don't necessarily want to just pass turn and not have them and not actually have anything on the field for me to kind of further extend my plays. Cool instructions obviously with this is that when attacking we're able to evo, if we've got 20 more cards in trash, we're able to digivolve into a Beelzemon in our trash for digital cost of 3 without ignoring its digivolve requirements, which is actually really strong because we do have ways to kind of capitalize out as well. Obviously going into the BL's Ace is going to be crazy for us because realistically we're going to that for a cost of 3, and obviously we can stack our memory gainers cards that we can obviously trash. That's obviously going to be costing us kind of 1 memory to go into that BL's, which is nutty. And then on top of that, it's inheritable is that we're able to just, you know, kind of sweep out any low level Digimon right there. Obviously free or less on there, so really good Impmon. This is the kind of spread I'm kind of going with at the moment, obviously subject to change as soon as we kind of get more into the meta. So let's go over now to the level 4. So level 4 is we're running at 9 here, and as you can see, obviously, you know, we've got our main staple, which is obviously going to be the wizard. This is just once again great for us to, one, when attacking, we're actually able to stack our deck in order for us to, you know, choose which card we want to mill off the other effects. And then on top of that, if this card is then trashed from top of our deck, we're able to gain a memory. So this is obviously a key facilitator for us to gain memory, be more memory efficient and so forth. But then we do have the new Wizardmon, which I am currently running at 2. The reason being that it is a fantastic card. It's absolutely great. You know, having barriers in the headsball is really nice. The only thing I don't like about it is the actual when digivolving effects that I have to trash the top security card to then mill 2, and then all the opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DPE for the turn, which is great. The payoff is great. The thing I don't like is the actual burning my security. Biel's security is actually probably one of the things I do like because I'm going to have a ton of options which are going to most likely kill the opponent if they try and swing. Me burning that is not what I want to be doing. But its actual mill effect is quite nice, is that when this card is trashed from your deck or security, until give one of your opponent's Digimons minus security attack 1 until their turn ends, which is nice. That is really good. So the way I'm kind of thinking about this Wizardmon is more of a utility tool. Because, like I say, I don't want to necessarily always be burning my security in order to kind of, you know, trash 2. And to trash 2, well, the mill 2 could effectively be a difference between me hitting my target of having 10 in trash and not having 10 in trash. Or put me in a predicament where the opponent's got an easier time going through my security. Subject to change, without a doubt, but at the moment, I think using it more as a utility kind of Digimon, obviously, to, you know, control the field a little bit more and you know, use its being trashed from, well, being milled from deck is probably the way I'm going to technically use him, because realistically, you know, this Wizardmon X Antibody is still a very solid card. Once again, the when attacking is really good because we do want to be trashing the top card of our top card of our deck in order for us to reach those totals right there. We don't want to slow ourselves down. Like that's an issue right there. Make sure we're actually milling consistently. We want to make sure that we do have these inevitables to effectively reach our trash totals to get the maximum benefit of our Digimon. So this is really solid there, because obviously if we haven't even on top of a Wizardmon, we are able to trash top 2 cards from our deck, which is always great. But if we have evoed on top of our Wizardmon, we gain blocker instead until the end of the opponent's turn. So that's the reason why, if we went heavy on this Wizardmon, we're actually losing out, or not losing out per se, but we actually putting ourselves in danger to do something that we already kind of did already. Granted, the whiteboard removal is sick, like undeniably is sick, but I don't always want to do it all the time. So that is my reasoning, like I say, subject to change. Now let's go over to level 5. So level 5's here, running a 7. The reason why I've actually increased this count, because sometimes you actually just lose because you just don't see these at all, which is sad. It is very sad and very annoying, because we are milling a lot of things when we kind of like, setting up and so forth. Sometimes we can just kind of mill our level 5s, and we may not have arrivals to kind of get that back, or we may not have, well, we might have an Impmon X antibody, but effectively might not have an option to sack off to get this piece back. So the reason why I've kind of gone with this is to kind of meet certain scenarios that I may come across during the meta, because realistically this Baal is fantastic, it is great, but the issue is that your opponent can work around this pretty comfortably, de-Digivolve, and that is it. That is literally it. You will not get that on deletion. Compared to the start deck Baalmon, your whole stack gains that on deletion effect. So let's just read this out here. So it has got non-play, and when Digivolving, can either on top of a wizard for the cost of 3, trash top 3 cards of your deck, which is pretty standard right here, always good stuff. Then, if you have 5 or more cards in trash, this Digimon gains reboot and blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. So this is where it's really solid. Like, if you evoed on top of your Wizardmon X antibody, realistically, you're gonna hit the minimum requirement when you evo into this to get that blocker and reboot right there, which is always good. If, for example, you even on top of the new Wizardmon and you do not trigger do not trash your top card of your security, you won't hit this unless you've already set up, which is my concern. Sometimes, we might not have the trash built up ready, and realistically, you do want to have reboot and blocker on your stack, because effectively it gives you that nice bit of more control, especially if the opponent is going to do some early chip damage. It gives you a potential ace, and then you could block and so forth, which is always good. Obviously, the undeletion is similar to what we see from majority of the Baalmon, is that if you have 10 or more cards in trash, you may play one Beelzemon from your trash without paying the cost, which is once again really good. We got a plethora of Beelzemons that we can play and really leverage that, and that's its whole kind of gimmick at that point. But the reason why I've actually put this at 3 and not 4 is because the opponent can work around this. Bounce is always going to be a menace. Bounce is probably one of our massive things we just can't avoid, and de-Digivolve is rife, and that could easily work around this and ruin your whole strat. So that's why we still have the start deck Baal, and we are running this at 2, because once again it is very solid, but once again the opponent can actually work around this as well by simply just not attacking, which is a plausible strat. But the reason why I like about this is because it's the similar when Digivolving trash top 3. That's always been sweet, and obviously the way Digivolve effect is that we do gain that on deletion, the whole stack, and we are able to play out of BLs from trash without paying the costs, and this is until the opponent's end of the opponent's turn, which is always solid. So currently I'm running at 2. Then we do run the BT10 Baal, and I'm going to explain reasons of this. The reason why I've gone with this spread is to once again give myself some options. Sometimes I just don't always want to commit to go out and just be like, right, well, opponent can clearly see I'm either setting up an ace or I'm setting up a way to get Beelzemon played out for free. Sometimes, you just want to kind of just you might be walled out from doing anything. And with this is not a when digivolving effect, this is simply a when attacking effect, and can really help your mill strat absolutely skyrocket straight off the bat, because when attacking you may trash up to 3 cards from the top of your deck. So you have complete control of how many cards you actually want to trash. You can trash 2 cards if you want to. And then it does have the undeletion, simply, you know, for at 10, we're able to play BLs from trash. So it gives us another line of play without feeling bad of not gaining our when digivolving effect right there. So it gives us options, and that's purely what this is all about, having the options. The start deck Baal, BT and EX10 Baal are the ones that, yeah, if you feel quite comfortable and your opponent can't necessarily work around these, push out, go wild. If you want to hang back and just make sure that you get to read the opponent and the situation, you can just chill out in the back and go into this Baal quite comfortably, while still getting really excellent payoff with your inheritables and also its when attacking effect. So that's my reasons right there. Feeling out of all the ratios, I feel quite comfortable with this being the thing. I think this is a very nice set ratio here. So then let's go over to the level 6s. So level 6s, this is actually be relatively tough, just because we do have a massive suite of Beelzes. And Beelz is just, once again, a very strong card, but I think we need to just kind of just skip right to the ace, because the ace is very powerful, and a lot of plays that you can do based off its when digivolving effects, and the kind of the ordering of that there as well, which is nice. So realistically, you know, this BLs enables us to, one, have warp potential, because if we have 20 more cards in trash with a level God, let me words. While we have 20 or more cards in trash, level 3 Impmon, with Impmon in name, which is once again good. We can obviously evo on top of our Impmon X antibody for the cost of 4, which is actually very strong. So we have ways to kind of warp and get back in the game. Then it obviously is an ace, so we can, you know, blast Digivolve, which is always good. And then it has an on play when digivolving and when attacking effect, which is very strong in terms of like what it's going to be doing, is that we're going to trash the top 2 cards of our deck. Then delete one of your opponent's play cost 6 or lower Digimon. For every 10 cards in trash, add 3 to the maximum play cost. So this is strong. It is strong, but I still like how the other one was level based. Level based was like beautiful, but I understand why. It's leaning more to the kind of the black kind of style of deletion. But then it does have also on play and with digivolving effect, is that if you have 10 or more cards in trash, by returning 2 non-digi egg cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck, de-digivolve to one of your opponent's Digimon. So you have great ways to, once again, prevent yourself from being milled out. And actually, to the top of the deck. Sorry, I don't know why I said bottom of the deck. That's really confused me. So you have great ways to really execute these in terms of manipulating how you want to stack your deck and the ordering of these effects. So for example, if you wanted to trigger the when digivolving effect first of the top one, so you trash 2 cards of your deck. Beautiful. What you're going to do here, depending if you've got iMaco, you suspend those and basically stack whatever cards you actually want on there. So let's just say, for heaven's sake, we stack a EX2 Beelzemon. We stack that on there, and then we're going to trash 2. So we trash the EX2 Beelz. We're going to play an Impmon from that, from it being trashed. Then from there, obviously we have to delete the opponent's Digimon. It's still our turn. From then we execute the bottom when digivolving effect, is that we were able to get 2 non-digi egg cards from our trash to the top of the deck. So this is where you can effectively, 1, stack your deck in order for you to get cards back. So, for example, you could put Wisdom Training and get the BLs, and then we get Wisdom Training. So Wisdom Training is the top card of your deck currently. Digivolve one of your opponents by 2. then you're able to evo on top of your Impmon. So let's just say, for heaven's sake, we go X antibody version of Impmon, evo for free. We then get the actual training from that because we stacked that. We get the Windage Rolling effect off our Imp X. We can either sack off that trait, that wisdom if you want to, or keep it to get one of your pieces back. And then from that point, you can then go and trigger the when attacking effect to then trash the top 2 cards of your deck in order for you to then reveal that EX2 Beelzemon again. get another Impmon out from trash. Let's for heaven's sake, we just throw out a, I don't know, let's just go with the Impmon that enables us to play our Tamer from trash if we got 1 or fewer out, and build up that way. There's cool little things like that you can do with this card, which is quite nutty, and obviously, you know, the obvious thing is preventing us from being decked out. So this card, very strong. The only thing that concerns me is that obviously that Ace Overflow, I think that's going to be that thing that's going to be, that players will capitalize on. There's no Digiroll protection, like, BLs does not have any form of protections, apart from like battle protection due to barrier, but yeah, it's still a little bit glass, and the overflow does concern me, but undeniably this card is very strong right there. So very cool things that you can be doing this, and that's why I've actually had it at 3, just because it is relatively strong and kind of like one of your main cards you want to go into. Then we obviously have the kind of like the utility Beelzemon. So this is obviously undeniably strong, able us to play our Impmons from trash, which is good if it's being milled. It does have a windage rather than when attacking, further, you know, executing our mills from top of our deck. And then for every 10 cards that we have in our trash, we are able to delete a level 3 or lower, and then able to increase the level by every 10 that we have in. So if we're at 20, it's going to be deleting level 5s. If we're at 30, it's going to delete level 6s, which is very strong right there. So you want to be using this in tandem with your BL's Ace in order for you to kind of maximize on, you know, building out your board realistically, which is very powerful. Then we do go with the Beelzemon X Antibody. This is just us, enable us to once again leverage our trash to actually win game without necessarily swinging. Like, we just want to be kind of burning their security depending on how many basically on our trash totals, which is obviously going to be key for us. So we still run this at 2. On deletion is always helpful in order for us to kind of play out an Impmon in name from trash without paying the cost, which is once again lovely. But you do have to realize that, you know, you have got that Ace Overflow going to be attached if you have even on top of this, so, you know, be cautious of that. Then we do run still the EX6 BLs, and we run this at 1, so this is kind of definitely a tech BLs now, just because of that rush is just undeniably strong. And then the on play, once again, it's just a really good mill. You know, mill 4, which is always great, and then if we have 10 more cards in trash, we're able to Digiroll to one of the opponent's Digimon, really strong. The all turns does not matter in regards to BLs, but once again, a very strong BLs right here. And then lastly, we go with the level 7, and this is going to be the Beelzemon Blastmo. So you're probably thinking, where is the ace? And to be honest, I don't want to be running 2 aces in BLs. Like, it's already punishable enough. like I don't want to be punished even further, but this is an absolute fantastic utility card. Like, without a doubt, especially to work with your Beelzemon Ace. Because the reason being is that when this card is trashed from your deck, delete one of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon. For every 10 cards in trash, increase the highest level of this effect can choose by 1. So when it comes to like late game, once again, you're going to be further deleting / removing things off field, which is going to be really helpful for us here. And then on top of that, when Digivolving, we can unsuspend this Digimon, and if you have 20 more cards in trash, we're able to gain free memory, which effectively means that we're going to receive even for 1, and if we have our Iron Makos out, it's pretty much for free at that point, and because with them we can unsuspend, we can get another swing in, and hopefully that'll be a swing for game. The thing I like about this is the fact that we can keep recycling it, and just having another way that we can be deleting stuff on top of our Digimon that's already going to be deleting a lot of stuff is really helpful for us. So that's why I do run that at 1. It's definitely more of a utility Digimon in order to, you know, really abuse with the BL's Ace. So then we go to the options. So options pretty tough on this one, but let me explain the ratios. I think 7-4 cluster, once again, just really good for further removal. Great in our security, keeping that spicy, but really works well with our Beelzemon X antibody, just because, you know, if we're good at Evo into this, and this is in our trash, we're able to then infect this, return this to the bottom of our deck, and delete the lowest, which is banging. It's absolutely banging right there, and it's a good option for us to mill off of our Impmon X antibody. Then we still go with the Death Slingers, because once again, Beelzemon Ace can actually just restack this at the top, regain reprint memory. Also as well, really effective in terms of the removal for, well, cheat removal, which is always good because it only gets stronger the longer the game goes on, which is banging, and that's the same with the main effect there as well. So, you know, definitely a free off for sure. Then one thing I'm gonna just kind of quote on, because I think people will probably think, why is this actually a lot lower? The reason being is because now we can recycle it more often, is the primary thing. Yeah, running it at 3 or 4, well, usually 3 is pretty much a sweet spot, because we have ways to kind of basically recycle it up. It's not really much of a worry, especially because we run the BL's Ace at 3. But still, having this in security is just an absolutely amazing bomb. Just delete one of the opponent's highest level, always a banger. Obviously, you know, the milling this off the top of our deck is going to enable us to essentially have full access to our trash in order to kind of get our line. Is always a winner, and then its main effect is the same as the security effect, which, once again, beautiful. So I have lowered this down more due to deck space. Sometimes it can be a bit cluttering when you do have it just in kind of in hand. Like sometimes Pain 7 just isn't the wave. But it is great for removing any form of threats because it is option. It's an option. It means it gets around Digimon protection, which is great. Obviously, if they got that protection, which is like immune to everything, then we kind of shit creek without a paddle. But if they're not, you're kind of eating. Then, obviously, we do have the Wisdoms at 2. This could be kind of anything, but I feel like sometimes, just having Wisdom, able to kind of, pass turn on 2 and just get a search is always valued right here. Also, as well, we have ways to kind of stack this at the at the top of our deck again with the BL's Ace. As long as you kind of make sure you stack correctly and you have another Digimon out that you can actually get this off, you pretty much can get this and recycle it and use it as you need to use it, which is good. Then we go on to the Tamers. So you're probably thinking, what the fuck is this? So let me explain everything right here. So let's just go obviously with the key facilitator is going to be the Iron Mako. I mean, 3 or 4 will do this just right. This is obviously your main searcher, your main facilitator in order for you to stack your deck, which is always the vibe. I think, like, yeah, ideally, you're probably going to get around about 2 to 3 of these out in the game. And because we, once again, have ways to kind of stack our deck back up, and, depending on how the mills have gone, and these are kind of in your trash, because we can stack our deck quite efficiently now with the new BL's Ace, we can effectively ensure that we're going to get this out more often. Granted, we can just hard slam it, that's not a problem at all, but we can effectively leverage the EX2 BLs with the retail Impmon in order for us to kind of get this out off that being milled, which is always valued. So yeah, and also it's a memory manipulator there as well, which is always great. Then the reason why I've actually considered bringing this back in, because I kid you not, nothing is worse than being choked in this freaking deck. Like, sometimes it just isn't a vibe. It's just not a vibe. And just being at 3, you can do a lot being at 3. Being the thing. So I'm really starting to see where Iron Mako can kind of bring that value in again. Just because now that we have a good BL's Ace, we can get memory back and be quite efficient. Especially if we could use this in tandem with our star deck Impmon. If we at 20, we swing, obviously we'll trigger the when attacking of that in order for us to go into BL's Ace. We trigger the BL's Ace as 2 when Digivolving effects. Obviously we can restack, or we can basically try and trash 2 to delete a Digimon and then restack, depending on what you want to do. And then from there, you suspend this, you then trash a card from top of your deck, and then you can evo into your blast mode for the cost of 3, which effectively what would that mean is that it will be for free, because it's when Digimon effect is that if we're at 20 or more, we're able to gain free memory back and unsuspend. So you could do a cheeky 2-check, jobs are good and happy days with this kind of combination. So I do think there's very good potential for this card to really be back in the meta. Granted, it is a little bit slow. Like, I'll tell you how it is. It is a little bit slow, but being at free memory can do a lot. It also enables us to suspend and trash a card from top of our deck. Is a difference of being at 1k with our having 1k boost from our inheritable versus having 2k boost from our inheritable with the new support from the Baalmon and the Impmon. So, you know, that can go a long way. That could go a long way if we have to try and swing over something or the opponent could have potentially blocked. So I do like this, and I was thinking, I'm like, I could easily bump that to 2 and just knock this off. I don't know if I really like this, but it's the same principle that I have with puppets at the moment, is that, you know, I have my main facilitator card, which obviously for in this case is going to be the start deck Iron Mako. You know, that's just a great searcher. It does a lot for the deck. And then I have the 2 kind of other options. So, you know, in puppets I would have BT22 Orisa, and then I would have the starter deck Orisa, one being the memory setter, and the other one that gives us a bit of additional draw and a way to kind of come back. This is kind of the similar premise, is that this enables us to effectively evo into a Beelzemon from hand or trash, which once again we leverage our trash if we don't happen to have a Beelzemon in our hand. For the cost of 4, ignoring some Digimon requirements, obviously we're blasting into the ace. We're going to stack 2 memory gains on that. We're going to just evo for 2, realistically. And if we have an Iron Mako out, we're going to suspend that, and we're going to gain memory. So this is where this card is nice. It does have a starter main that if the opponent has a Digimon, you do gain a memory, which is okay. So if you did have this out effectively, and we did have memory setter, we started at 2 memory, which is okay. But like I say, the memory setter, I could do a lot off free. I could literally throw down this Iron Mako, get a search, try and find a damn piece, and then kind of pop off from there. Which sometimes, out of the many games that I've played post this support, it does go a long way in order for me to just do a little bit more. Otherwise, I'm just throwing this down and I'm passing turn of 1, and I may have got a piece which could have helped me further extend. But this is subject to change. At the moment, I feel like this is a nice ratio. I think, you know, at least seeing 1 of these is great. If it is milled, effectively, I've got ways to get it out with the combination of cards that I do have. One thing I just want to kind of touch on here, which I did miss out, is that the inheritable here is actually the all turns, which is really good. It means that our BLs can actually be at a pretty much decent DP threshold. Obviously, if we're at 30 cards in trash, you know, we're kind of going to be sitting at a comfortable 15, which is not bad at all. And then, unfortunately, I was like, ooh, if that's all turns, this is obviously, you know, this is our turn, unfortunately. But just being at a comfortable 15 is great. And obviously, if we do have barrier, you know, we can block and be okay, which is good. But overall, I am liking, I'm vibing off this list. I'm feeling myself right now with this list. I do like before I read BL's Ace, I was like, yeah. But actually, like, really thinking about the possible combos and scenarios and what you can be doing with this card excites me. It really does excite me right there. Does it fix the current issues that it has? Or what it's always been experiencing? You either are him and you're really just getting the sweet mills that you want and so forth, or sometimes you can be doing very little. From the actual from the stats here, what I've tried to do is make it as consistent as I can to search out my line. My main problem, what's been happening, is more the level 5s. It's more just like I can't get to the level 5s. Just because, you know, I'm kind of preying on a mill that I can get like a rival setup and so forth, and I'm pretty Gucci. But sometimes I just could never get there, and sometimes that's how you die. I think a lot of decks are going a lot faster, they're a lot more consistent and so forth. So we just need to make sure that our ratios can actually match that energy in order for us to effectively get to our level 6, and that's where we can kind of get the plays going. So originally I think I kind of had like maybe 6 level 5s, which to be honest is pretty normal for BLs. Like BLs can see the list, I have 4, and I'm like, man, I'm not him. So this kind of lineup here is just ensuring that we can do shit. Being the thing, I like to do shit, and like making sure that we actually can, you know, be decent in any given scenario is going to be helpful for us, because I just think the Digivolve is going to be just going to shut this. If we fully lent on this battle, I think the Digivolve is just going to absolutely derail us completely, and that's the annoying thing at the moment. There's no form of protection to keep us safe for at least a turn. So we really have to be quite tactful, and naturally sometimes this deck is just not fast enough to get set up, being the thing, or the opponent simply just has an effective out to it. But guys, that is your boy done. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash it with a like as standard. Stay safe, stay fly, and I'll catch you next one. That's your boy D Dread, off the mic.